Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Joe, and this week I am looking at fancy fragrances because my brother-in-law, who I think of as my brother, is getting married in a couple weeks. So I went through my collection and I grabbed everything that I could think of that would work for a formal occasion, and I'm going to go through them and figure out which one I'm going to wear. Stay tuned. All right, everyone, I've got 6 fragrances for you, and one of them, the first one, I think may be a little bit more suited for the summer. I think it would work anytime, but I think it would be especially suited for the summer. So I'll start off with that one, and then I'll go through the other ones, which I think work pretty much in any time, any situation. Though I think it is worth pointing out a few things up front here. When I'm thinking about the fragrance, there's a few things that I'm taking into consideration. Number one, don't want to upstage the bride and groom. So if this is the time that you want to try and wear 20 sprays of red tobacco or some other, oud for greatness, or some huge performer, some beast of a fragrance, this isn't the time for that. You're not the star of the show. Don't try and be the most noticeable thing in the room. That's rude. Don't be a jerk. You are trying to be classy, professional. There's nothing especially classy or professional about upstaging the bride at her own wedding. So that's the thing I would say is, with these, be conservative. You're just trying to make a good impression on the people that you shake hands with, dance with, hug, stuff like that. You're not trying to make sure that everyone at the whole wedding and everyone 4 counties away knows that you're there as well. To start off, I'm going to lead with maybe a little bit of a non-traditional choice. That's Mercedes-Benz for Men. This fragrance might initially seem like a strange one, but I was thinking, like, what works in the summertime? Now, for my own wedding reception, which happened outdoors, I wore Light Blue Italian Love. This was kind of in the heat of summer, and it was outdoors, so that was absolutely the perfect fragrance for that. I have no regrets. I think that was a beautiful scent, and I was happy to wear it that day. I think I'm not recommending that one because I don't think it's made anymore. I'm trying not to recommend it if it's discontinued, and I think that one might be. You can probably still find it online, and if you can, I say pick it up because it's beautiful. But in the meantime, Mercedes-Benz for Men is a beautiful ozonic, a little bit powdery, but it's a heavy dose of violet leaf. As I've talked about it before, either on my Instagram channel or on my YouTube, I think I have a video where I've featured this as well. It does come across a little bit like petroleum, maybe a little bit gassy, but for me this is more about fresh air, about the grass. This to me is driving with the top off and the windows down, or the windows down, I guess I should say, or the windows down. Kind of enjoying the fresh air. So if you're in the heat of summer, if it's an outdoor wedding, something like that, if it's a little bit warmer maybe, I think Mercedes-Benz for Men is a good choice. It's classy, it smells good, it's different. So you're going to be standing out. It'll be distinctive. It's not going to be blasting across the room though, so it is a good conservative choice. Next up, and this one I think works for any season, though I would probably lean towards saving this for fall and winter, is Spice Bomb Infrared. You could probably pull any of the Spice Bombs, and any of them would be lovely for this. I chose Spice Bomb Red. Number one, I own Spice Bomb Red, Infrared, and Night Vision, so I only had 2 to choose from. And I think of the 2, Infrared with its like cinnamon notes and the red fruits and things like that, it's a really beautiful, inviting, classy scent. This would be great, especially I think in the winter. I would probably save this for the winter. It's a little bit sweet, a little bit woodsy. And so, in the context of a wedding, it's just right. I think one of the things with fragrances for formal occasions is you want them to be well balanced. You don't want anything to be too much. You don't want it to be too sweet, too spicy, any of that. And I think Spice Bomb Infrared does a really good job of balancing those. It's got this really pleasant sweetness to it, but it's not cloying. I wonder if that would be the case though in the heat of the summer. I haven't really worn this one in high heat, so I don't know. I suspect it probably wouldn't be as good in the summertime, so I guess I would keep this more towards the fall and winter. In any case, if you've got Spice Bomb Infrared and you've got a formal event coming up, this is not a bad choice. It's a tempting one for me. I think I probably won't go with this one just because it's going to be outdoors. It'll be a little bit warmer. And I think this maybe fits a little bit better for fall and winter. Next up, I have a bit of a modern classic. It doesn't get talked about as much as its siblings, but it is a beautiful scent in its own right. That's Bentley for Men Black Edition. And as you can tell from the bottle, looking at this thing, it looks like a tuxedo itself almost. This is a very woodsy fragrance, a little bit of spice. I mean, that's gonna be the case for these. They're gonna be woodsy, there's gonna be a little bit of spice and a little bit of sweetness typically. They'll all be varying degrees, but that's kind of where they're all gonna be batting around. This one, Bentley for Men Black, it's a heavy dose of woods. It doesn't smell a lot like Bentley for Men Intense if you've smelled that one. This smells like maybe a bit more formal version of that. It takes the booze out of Bentley for Men Intense. Maybe draws back a little bit on the spices. I don't know if tobacco is in this, but for me, I mean, it is largely woods and spice is kind of the star of the show here. I like this one a lot. This is a tempting one for me, honestly, as we're getting down to the final 4 here. These are the ones that I'm most seriously considering. I do like this one a lot. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm debating it. This one is really good, though. I really like it's a really classy. I mean, they're all classy, right? You're trying to go for a classy smell, but these are all classy. This one, though, in particular, just the level of woods I feel like is good, and it's not like a pencil shavings sort of thing that you get from some other ISO-y super fragrances, stuff like that. This smells more like, you know, cigar box, kind of like the Bentley for Men Intense. So if you like Bentley for Men Intense and you're looking for something that maybe would be a little bit more professional or classy for a formal event, Bentley for Men Black Edition is a good option. All right, next up I have one of my absolute favorites, and I think is actually my most complimented fragrance in my collection. That's L'Homme Ideal Extrême from Guerlain. This one, again, maybe leans a little bit more towards the fall and the winter, mostly because of its richness. I feel like it feels a little bit out of place in the spring or the summer. If this was happening in November, December, January, February, this would probably be pretty close to my top choice. Like I said, this is my most complimented fragrances, and I don't get tons. I don't think anyone truly gets a lot of compliments. This one has just stood out for me because of the context of the compliments. One of them was I was with my wife. She was doing gymnastics, and I was like filming her, and this woman kept walking by me. Finally, after the 3rd pass, she goes, "I'm sorry, I have to stop you and tell you, you just smell so good." And I agree. This stuff is amazing. It's plum, tobacco. It's an absolutely gorgeous scent. It is the way I call it to people. I typically say that this is maybe the height of French perfumery. That's a bold claim, but I think it's a great example. If nothing else, I think this is a great example of French perfumery. It's elegant. Everything is delicate. Everything blends together beautifully. Nothing is screaming. It's a very soft but bold fragrance at the same time. So I love this one. I think if it was any colder than it is right now or going to be for the wedding, I would probably wear this one. I think maybe in the warmth it wouldn't work out quite as well. Next up, I've got maybe the most obvious choice, and that's because it's a clone of Tuxedo from YSL. That's Kismet for Men by Maison Alhambra. Now this one, I was corrected in the last video where I talked about this, and I said that the Tux is actually from Lattafa. I'm gonna give myself partial credit because Lattafa owns Maison Alhambra. So Maison Alhambra, though, makes both Kismet for Men and the Tux. My understanding is that they're both clones of Tuxedo by YSL. So I haven't smelled the Tux. I've heard they're very similar, which makes sense. If anyone knows the insight on this one, let me know, because I'm curious about it. What I'll say for Kismet, I haven't smelled Tuxedo either, so I'm just going off this one. But what I'll say for Kismet is maybe the quintessential, it's the platonic ideal of a fancy fragrance for a wedding. It's got woods, like I've been talking about before. It's got all the lovely spices, and it has this bed of vanilla. And the vanilla in it is very beautiful, very inviting, not overly sweet. I would say that this is still a fairly dry fragrance. It does have sweetness from those things, but it's a lot more subtle than in even Bentley for Men Black or Spice Bomb Red, Infrared. This one is woods, spices, vanilla, very lovely way that they're organized together. This is the kind of fragrance people hug you, and it's just gonna kind of make them feel a little happy, I think. It's just one of those smells, it just smells good. When you smell it, it kind of puts a little smile on your face, and I really, again, this is a very recent pickup for me, but I could see myself just wearing this a lot in the fall and the winter. This one actually I feel like maybe does have a little bit of a booze note to it. Now granted, I just sprayed the alcohol, but there's like maybe something there, maybe a little bit of some sort of balsamic, like whiskey or something like that, little barrel aged booze of some sort. I'm not sure. I don't think it's listed in the notes, but in any case, it's beautiful. I think this perfectly strikes the balance for all of the different things. Probably the best all-weather fancy fragrance is Kismet for men. And finally, to round things out, I've got a special one. It's another recent pickup. Creation E, or Enigma, for those of you who are not in the United States, by Raja Parfums. This is a very special fragrance. I got the sampler set, which I recommend you do. I think you should get the Raja, at least when I was checking last. I think they still sell the Summer Creation 2 scent, which has all the men's Parfum cologne versions. This is in there. It's an absolutely stunning scent. It's got this aspect to it where it smells classic, a little timeless. You can smell like some older vintage fragrances influences in it, but then at the same time it still smells completely modern. I think this is right on the edge, frankly, of how far I would want to go at a wedding. I think this is a little bit of a statement maker, and I don't want to make too much of a statement, obviously, since it's not my wedding. So this is like kind of, I'm debating basically between the last three, well, really between this and Kismet, because I really like the smell of this one. But I don't want it to be something that's distracting. I honestly, I don't want to catch other people's attention, except when they get close to me for a hug or something like that. And this sounds like a stupid problem, but I'm a little bit concerned that this is just might be a little bit too noticeable. This is, like I said, it has aspects of it that make it smell vintage and classic, but it is still a wholly modern fragrance, and because of that, I think it is a fairly attention-grabbing fragrance. It's got a lot of citruses in there. It has a cognac note, which is lovely, and then there's a lot of people say, which I agree, that there's a cola note in there as well. It's a very interesting fragrance. I think this one they market as a summertime fragrance. I think this is a little bit more of a fall-time fragrance, but I don't think that it would get cloying in the heat. I think this is adequately spicy, dry enough. I think it'd be very lovely. So, I don't know. To be honest with you, it's a tough call. Creation E is such a just beautiful scent. It's so unique, and it's a lot of fun too. I think it's cool that you can get a fragrance like this that's not all business. It feels like it's got something fun to bring to the table. So, I'm gonna kick these around. I don't know, man. It's a tough decision. If you've got an opinion, I've still got a couple weeks left. Let me know below. If you've got other suggestions, please let me know. Time is ticking, but if there's something that you think that I'm missing here that I need to get that's way better, please let me know. I'll check it out. But in the meantime, let me know down in the comments below which of these you think I should wear and what your thoughts are on them. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.